Hi there and welcome to Aqurus Solutions. My name is Samantha, Niton, DeForge, and in today's video I'll be focusing on two different pieces of functionality. One which is actually existing functionality prior to 2019 R1, but it's some filtering capabilities that may help you filter some data a little bit more easily, as well as a new feature in 2019 R1, which is the conditional highlighting component of the newest release of Acumatica, which allows you to actually color code certain results in the system. So the first thing that I'm actually going to want to do is click on my receivables because I've decided that I'll be using invoices and memos for the filtering aspect. So this is existing functionality prior to 2019 R1 that might help you be a little bit more efficient day to day. So the first thing that I see here is a lot of information, and I've decided that I actually want to filter these results based on anything over 10,000 on the amounts tab. So what I'm going to do is I can actually filter on it this way, but if it's a filter that I actually want to use more so day to day and actually save this for future, I can have that easily done, and I can do that by clicking on the filter settings. So when I go ahead and click on the filter settings, I can see that it's sitting blank, and I'm going to go ahead and add a row. I'm going to have to specify a property field, which is actually the header of the column that I want to actually filter on. So in this particular case, I'm going to be using the amount field. And like I mentioned, I do want to specify things only over 10,000. So what I'll do is I'll go is greater than and put it in a value. Now that I've entered the value, I want to save this for future use. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And it allows me to actually name the filter what I want to do. So I'm going to name it as amount over 10K. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK now. And when I apply the changes, I can see that this tab has been added as a new filter. In addition to this, you can add more filters if you'd like to, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit new now, and I'm going to specify the exact same thing, but I'm going to say that I want to look at things that are over $100,000. So again, is greater than, and I'm going to put the value in as $100,000. I'm going to save this, and instead of 10K, I'm going to put 100K, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. When I apply this, I'll see that this has now been added as an additional tab. This might just be a little bit more helpful when it comes to looking at things that you maybe see repetitive, whether it's in inventory or in invoicing or in AR, wherever in the system you want accesses, you're able to do so. Next, I want to actually focus on conditional formatting. So this is new in 2019 R1. So if you aren't on 2019 R1, you won't be able to do so. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my stock items. And I'm actually going to want to focus more on the default price, and I want to be able to filter anything over 500. And I want that to appear in red. And I'm able to do that now with the latest release. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to go to edit generic inquiry. Now, oftentimes we'll find people a little bit afraid to use these, but they're actually very easy to use. They're not made for, the developer, but they are made for people to use every day. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the results grid tab, and I'm going to highlight the row style field, and I'm going to click on the pencil. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. The syntax behind all the parameters that you're going to have to enter is very particular. So if there's any commas or brackets, that is something that you always want to keep in place. And they do have a lot of functions that are pre-existing. In this particular case, like I've specified, is I want to filter on inventory items that have a default price of anything over 500. And I can do this by doing an if statement. And an if statement is a function that if the expression is true, do something. If it's not, do something else. And that's really what an if statement is. So in this particular instance, I'm going to highlight the expression tab by double clicking it, and I'm going to go into my fields. And I'm actually going to go ahead and filter on price. And I'm going to find the inventory base price. And what I want to do is I'm going to see if you can see this comma sitting here. I don't want to remove that. You really want to make sure that the syntax is always as is. Otherwise, you're going to be running into a lot of issues. And what I want to do is I want to specify that if the base price, and if I go into my comparisons, I can see all these different parameters. You can type them as well, but you have equals, does not equal, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than and equal to. And what I want to do in this case is I want to put is greater than 500. And that's all you got to do there. The next part is we want to keep that comma where it's at. And what we're going to do that if that inventory item is over 500, we're going to set it as red. And when you go into the styles, you can see all the different colors we can use here. And I'm going to just select red 60. And that's what it's going to do. So right now the logic here states that if the inventory is greater than 500, you're going to show this as red 60. Otherwise, leave it as is. And that's all you want to do. At this point, you want to just make sure that when you validate it, the validation passes, and it has passed, so everything syntax-wise is okay. Something you always want to remember is that you always want to have your opening and closing brackets in place. Otherwise, you might run into some issues. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I'm going to save it. So now, when I go to view the inquiry, I'll actually see the items over 500 appearing in red. And this is based on the price. So we can see here that they're appearing in red. And as I go through the other tabs, I can do so by doing it this way. Alternatively, if you did want to do a filter on the query like I just showed prior to the conditional formatting, that is something you can do as well. But just a little bit of insight. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.